You know, when you get on some of these lakes like we're on now in the middle of summer, and these fish get out on those ledges, like this, those weed edges, it's amazing how many fish you can get out of a spot. Yeah, you know, that bite can really, really get hot and heavy. Incredibly hot and heavy. Look at this lake's got a lot of stain to it. Look at the color of those bass. They don't have a lot of color here. You know, she's like, not much to it. Real light color fish. But you can mix it up with the same varieties of how those weeds are laid out. If you're in them, on the edge, or just out of them, determines your choice of lures.
To be an efficient weed line mechanic, you need to have lots of tools because you never know if the bass will be up, down, in or out of the weeds. Here's an example of some of the primary tools we use to efficiently fish the weed line for largemouth bass. Let's start on the outside weed edge. Look at these deep rocks off the face of the weeds. A great tool to fish this area would be a deep diving crankbait or a roller jig. If the bass were out and suspended, a topwater lure could come into play. If the fish were in the weeds and buried down, a Texas rig creature bait would be the best option. Let's say the bass are scattered across the flat. A shallow running crankbait or a spinnerbait might be the answer. Today, the bass are right on the edge of the deep weed line, so fishing a jig in plastic or running a crankbait along the edge is the ticket.
You know, one thing that's sort of interesting in this particular conditions where we're fishing weeds, dense or deep weed conditions, when you're throwing a crankbait, it's a lot of times a different rod, reel, and line than a lot of other anglers when they're fishing crankbaits. A lot of traditional crankbait aficionados would use a medium action rod with, say, 10-pound test line. 12-pound test line, and what they want to do is use the light line to be able to drive the bait to as deep as possible. Right now I got this spooled with 14-pound test Suffix castable fluorocarbon, 6'9" Quantum Tactical Tour rod to make long casts, but the thing is the rod's a medium heavy action rod, and the reason for that, when I get this bait down there and I hit weeds, I literally rip it through the weeds. If you have a medium action rods, a lot of times what happens, the bait will just get buried in the weeds. That's why I'm using the little bit heavier line and a little bit heavier rod.
It feels like a good one. Look at this.
Another cast.
Oh.
I'm going to pull up upstream here
Yeah.
while you're battling that one in, and we're going to put the talon down. I'm going to sort of reposition.
That'll work good. I mean, there's enough things. I mean, it's a mega school. You know, it isn't too often where you can get a, come here, fish, a deep water school of fish like that that are just loaded in there. Yeah, you know, I don't know how many fish are sitting in a school, but it's a bunch. I keep looking at that threatening thing there, but one more cast because they're stacked in here. You can see them all over the electronics. This is one of those mega schools, baby, that you hit on these deep water spots every once in a while like this. It's a dream come true.